Hello friends, welcome to Akulmach Live. I'm Kanchan Verma and today I'm taking to a wonderful city. Earlier it used to be called as Singapore and now a modern name is Singapore. We'll be discussing more about the city with our guest today. But before that, I would like to remind you there's a free gift available only for you. So stick around to this episode till the end. We will guide you how to avail your free gift. Welcome to our show, and today we are discussing regarding a very wonderful city, a city of future. You guessed right. We are talking about Singapore. Now, Singapore, if we look back, has a relationship with Rajendra Chola the first, and is being established by Shiv, a dynasty from Indonesia, if I'm not wrong. But we will be hearing more about this wonderful city by our guest Sitesh Srivastava. So, welcome to the show, Sitesh. How are you doing today?
Hello, Kanchan. This is wonderful to talk to you. And basically, through you and Akulmach, I am visiting and revisiting those places which are in my lovely bucket list, and I can go again and again. So, thank you for this wonderful talk on Singapore, where I spent some time and I would like to talk about it. But first of all, how have you been?
Yeah, I'm fine and coping up with this pandemic. So I would like to know about the history of Singapore. I'm sure this city is quite popular in the world.
Well, Kanchan, Singapore's history is something which in the modern world is known from the British colonialization times. And the British, when they took that island around the World War II timings. But actually, there is an ancient Singapore, and it has a great Indian connections as well from the ancient times. But coming from British colonial times during the Second World War, and around 1819, Sir Stamford Raffles, he started, he was the British governor of the Singapore, that island. And those times, from those times, Singapore got its new development that we finally see after the British left, and then it was part of the Malaysian empire, the Malaysian geography, and then it became its own country, a city state, the one and the only city state which actually is, I can say, the first world country. And thanks to the political leadership of the nation and the founder, the Lee Kuan Yew, is supposed is known as a founder of Singapore.
Well, rightly said that the modern city Singapore is founded by a person who is very known in the history of Singapore. But when I look back, I think there's an Indian connection to this city because there was a king who came and he saw a lion, and he took this incident as a good omen, and he established the city. Later on, he was defeated by Rajendra Chola, the first. And from there, the history starts, and there the development of Singapore start. As I have read, I think in this historical timings, maybe in 19th centuries, early 19th century, it was being ruled by East India Company. Then it was sold to the natives because many Chinese also come and start living there. So how it really came as being a city of future. Now everybody says Singapore is a city of future because the architecture, the development, and reclamation of the land, and again doing setting up buildings and employment for new generation.
Well, Kanchan, Indian Singaporeans or Indian Singaporeans are basically the local ethnic group. and they are almost like 9% of the country's citizen. And there has been a contact with an ancient India, as you have said, and they have had a deep impact on the Malay culture, which is the most popular culture found in Singapore. So Indian Singapore is a ethnic community which has its presence in its all walks of life, including the current Chief Justice. And because of, I mean, the political leaders of Singapore have told several times that this city state is basically not a country, but a community in transition, and which brings out the best in a community living. And that's where once somebody reaches Singapore, they see the boards written in Tamil, and people so familiar. But like in many parts of the world, the Indian Singaporeans, they have a very deep connect with the land that they have lived, their forefathers have lived, and they are very, very proud of the Singapore's development. At the same time, they are also very proud of the connections during the Indian freedom fights that was in the modern times that we have known. And very few people know that Indian National Army by our Subhash Chandra Bose was raised in Singapore.
Can we also know about the architecture of this city, how it's been developed, and what are those good places where we can visit and appreciate and bring the memories?
Well, the city is a small, you can say, a mirror of the world. The skyline is something which is endlessly beautiful. The kind of images that people go and click, and also makes it a great place about the museums, the art places, and British colonization times museums are there, and art museum, national Peranakan museum, and there are a lot of Southeast Asia's history is basically showcased. And then there is something which is so lovely for us called Little India, and the place which brings us closest to India, and actually it is very close to India. So people in Singapore, they can basically travel back and forth from India to Singapore, and in fact they need not even miss India at that. So from perspective of the arts, I think Singapore holds, there is something called Singlit, which is Singapore literature, and there are a lot of budding authors who are writing about the Southeast Asia's history, not just based in the Singapore area, but also from the Malaysia and the nearby areas. And that's where makes Singapore is a city of choice, and as you keep saying, the futuristic city. And and food is delight. Yeah.
So at this point of time, I would like to ask you, what kind of food is available for vegetarian people who are visiting Singapore?
Well, from a cuisine point of view, Chinese, Malay, and Indian food has got much prominence in the Singapore island. But the diversity of cuisine has definitely increased by so much of mix and match and hybridization of different styles. There are hawker centers, and there are cultural diffusion between the foods. And there is a Tamil food. Chinese stalls are selling Tamil food, and other way around as well. So Malay ingredients. In fact, Kanchan, there is a Malay food fusion found in South Africa also, which I will cover in my journey. some days later. And that also shows that the Malay food has traveled across the world. And, Singapore's national dish is supposed to be Hainanese chicken rice, but going to any Indian restaurants, and there are plenty of them, Indian restaurants, vegetarian food is plenty available.
Okay, so somebody is planning to visit Singapore. So, what is the best timing and how long he should stay to really enjoy the city and know places within the city?
Well, Singapore is about cultural and themes, and there are a lot of tours around it, and bird park, and safari park, and then the Sentosa Island, and endless attractions, walking and biking tours, and theme parks. So Singapore is a tourist delight, but it cannot be covered in 2 or 3 days. I would say 1 full week, and when I say 1 week, I'm counting 7 days a week. So I can say 6 nights and 7 days, and it is worth spending that kind of a time seeing Singapore. And you know what, to standing in this any part of Singapore and then thinking about the Asian history, Southeast Asian history, Indian connections, and the world, in the modern world, how Singapore has left its imprint with its education, with its science, with its technology, with its advancements. And in a small city state also holds an army, a navy, an air force, and that is something people talk about, and people are really proud of the strict laws inside Singapore. I remember seeing T-shirts on which it is written, for what offense there is a fine, $500 Sing dollars fine for this and that. And one thing that stood out at that point of time was having chewing gum. As simple as chewing gum is in when I was there, I figured that chewing gum is not allowed because people throw it and then it gets stuck somewhere, and it is very troublesome to pick it away. So Singapore is a model for the modern governance. I would say from a democracy point of view, it is a unitary party model, which probably doesn't go very well with the democracies. But yes, Singapore has proven that its model is successful, and that model can be copied. And I'm sure there are good things, good governance lessons to be learned. And there is a great relationship with India and Singapore relationship, not because of just the ethnic Indians, but because we as Indians, we appreciate what Singapore has done for itself in last 50 years.
Well, you rightly said because Singapore is quite a modern city, and it has a capability to be a role model for other upcoming modern cities, and it is very highly connected through trades, through people going and coming to the city and taking the unique memories about the city. I would like to ask you how you will summarize the city in 1 or 2 or 3 words, maybe.
Well, Kanchan, I think you know by now that I am very much, enthused by the modern history, almost like 200 years of old history, and I am very much proud of the Indian National Army that was raised during the Second World War by our Subhash Chandra Bose, the great patriot, and the impact of Indian National Army, I think, was one of the key pressures of the British Indian government. And one more thing, By Singapore being part of the British Empire around the Second World War, it was also part of the British East India. So at a point in time, we were all together. So Singapore was part of Indian subcontinent, though it always has been, but it was in a legal terms around 1830s. And the Malay people, the Indian ethnic people, the Malay Tamils of those, they actually helped Indian National Army with their precious savings, and Subhash Chandra Bose was able to pronounce the first Indian government in exile, and that is what makes Singapore a very, very dear and close ally of India.
So it was so lovely to talk to you and really go through all the history and the modern aspect of Singapore. So, which place you like most in Singapore?
Well, there is something called Cathay Cinema. Okay. Now that Cathay Cinema building is now, it is very hard to find it. But in 1943, Subhash Chandra Bose proclaimed the formation of Provisional Government of Free India. And once you stand there, and this was in October 21st, 1943, even many Singaporeans today would find it tough to find that place. So once I stand there and I stood there, and I could really feel the goosebumps that one man and a community around Singapore, the prisoners of war by the Japanese army and the Malay people, the Tamil ethnic Indians, when they joined hands, it made an impact on the British Crown back in. And that is one place that I would love to go again and stand there and think that what one man's conviction can do.
Lastly, I would like to ask you, is it a place to live? I mean, anybody can go and settle down in Singapore, or it's a professional's paradise?
Singapore is professionals' paradise, no doubt about it. But Singapore is also a bustling place for arts, cultures, journalism, media, and conservation. And so when I say about professionals, I belong to IT, but that is not only the place for the IT. It's a place where the taxes are very high, but it is also a place where the quality of life is also equally high. And I hear that it's 5 years or 6 years later, the people have to change their cars because they have to, it is ecologically not good to continue. That is the law of the land. So getting a visa, tourist visa is not a problem, but I think getting a Singaporean visa and staying there, several years back, it used to be like a long-term visa, and then, serving in the territorial army, and then all those things. But from a living point of view, if one is okay with high taxes and one is equally okay with a high quality of life, it goes hand in hand, and that has been maintained very, very well in Singapore. And I compare Singapore as an answer to the Western capitals.
Well, it is so lovely to talk to you, and no doubt Singapore is a city of future, and we'll be meeting again with another city in our next episode. Till then, bye bye, take care.
Thank you. Thank you from the land of Lionhead.
Bye, take care.
We have some unique Akulmach memorabilia which will make you look outstanding. The graphics on these corporate gifts are based on the global best business practices. To become recipient of one of these gifts for free, you have to watch this video till the end and provide your valuable comments. Or you can also share your experiences. The person who makes the best comment would be chosen to become a recipient of these beautiful Akulmach gift, absolutely free, delivered to your doorsteps. The winner would also get a chance to be invited live as a distinguished panelist during our next video. What are you waiting for, friends? Please subscribe Akulmach and smash that like button.